Hello, ladies and gents. We've got some Hellraiser news for you. Now, I've been shared this quite a lot, and I do find it quite funny because I was one of the sources for this article on Dread Central. I knew this actually a fairly long time ago, but those familiar with the channel will know that I don't tend to just release stuff immediately. I like to build up a bit more of a portfolio to make a more encompassing video. But there's two things to go into here. Hellraiser started shooting, right? But then there's some more information from one of its lead producers, David Goyer. So we're going to be taking a look at both of those things. But I did just want to say from the off, it is quite funny because I was one of the ones which sort of corroborated this information. They added to it, actually, but I knew it was already shooting in Serbia. And that was the sort of corroboration part, whether or not they had actually started shooting, which I learnt a good few weeks back from someone familiar with, well, Hellraiser, basically. That's not going to be too much of a stretch for anyone to believe, by the way. If you're familiar with my channel and the amount of Hellraiser stuff I do behind the scenes and exclusives. So, yeah, it is just comical. But, hey, it's shooting. This is the Hellraiser remake for Hulu, of all fucking platforms. Ugh, I do hate the fact that it's going to Hulu. I'm not going to lie. Poo-poo magoo. I really hate it. I really hate it. But anyway, let's dive into this first and foremost. There's some new cast been revealed. But sources with knowledge of the production tell us that Odessa Zion, Brandon Flynn, and Drew Starkey are now in Belgrade, Serbia, filming the forthcoming reboot of Hellraiser. Dread Central reported in June that Zion was cast as Riley, the lead in the film, who will be a gender-swapped reinvention of Doug Bradley's iconic antagonist, Pinhead. Now, Flynn and Starkey have been pinned as two new additions to the cast. So there you go. Now, I do think it's really important to note here. A lot of people go on and say it's gender-swapped, Pinhead. It's not really. Like, if you're familiar with the novella, the gender was very ambiguous. Clive Barker obviously wrote and directed Hellraiser. It's his adaptation of his book, The Hellbound Heart, the novella. And he made Pinhead very firmly a man in the movie. I don't know why that is, because if you do read the novella, it's a sort of a... I think the description was a voice of a schoolgirl or something like that. It's like a scared, wispy sort of voice. Very, very ambiguous gender. And that was the intention behind the Cenobites, that they would be ambiguous sexually in terms of what they wanted to do with you and sort of that sort of nature. If you're familiar with Clive Barker's works, again, it's not that much of a stretch. But there we go. So we've got two other people, Flynn and Starkey. Now, Odessa Zion, that's a pretty young Pinhead. I'm surprised, but never mind. It is what it is. That's surprising. But maybe they want this to have legs to go somewhere as well. Which I don't think they do, because if it's going to Hulu, it's not going to have legs. Flynn stars in the Netflix teen drama 13 Reasons Why, and also appears in psychological thriller series Ratchet, which is developed for Netflix by American Horror Story co-creator Ryan Murphy. Starkey stars as Hawkins in several episodes of MTV's Scream, the TV series. And then we scroll down, and then we get bits and pieces like this. Previously, the other reports confirmed in April that David Bruckner, the director of The Night House, which is fantastic, and segments of The Signal, VHS, and Southbound, is helming the new take on Clive Barker's classic. The Hellraiser script comes from Ben Collins and Luke Petrowski. The Night House producer David Goyer wrote the story, which I've always found very confusing. Why would you need to write the story if it's a straight remake? But never mind, is what it is. We've got some more information on that anyway. And Goyer serves as producer on behalf of his studio Phantom 4 alongside Keith Levine. Bruckner is making Hellraiser exclusive for Hulu. In an interview with SFX, the director said of the project, and I quote, "It's a joy and a dream for a filmmaker like myself to dive into that world, and all I'll say is that we are aiming to be as true as we can to the original material, Clive Barker's original story, The Hellbound Heart. Hence why they have the female Pinhead. It's also a primary source of inspiration, as well as the original film, but then it is something of a small reimagining, and we're currently working on it. To that end, Bruckner allusions to the Hellbound heart make a lot of sense. An adaptation of that story with Zion as the lead is consistent with Barker's source material in the story Pinhead is androgynous. Yeah, I mean, like you just didn't really know what it was, basically. Pinhead in that story, it wasn't even Pinhead, but the character with the pins in the story, it was an it. There was never any clear, definition. I know people are going to be pissed by I said that, but there was never any clear definition of what Pinhead was. Very progressive. But anyway, say further here. So here's the information. Here's the tease from the producer. Here's all the information up to date. So Hollywood heavyweight David S. Goyer, writer-producer of Blade, is teasing horror fans about what to expect from the forthcoming Hulu Hellraiser reboot. The producer has called the footage from the new film jaw-dropping, because they have been filming for a little while now. And these films don't take long to make. The producer has called the footage from the new film jaw-dropping and makes the new Pinhead vehicle sound as gorgeous as it sounds nasty. Seems like we've got all the ingredients for a classic Hellraiser installment, but on Hulu. Here's what he said to Collider, right? I will say that we went back to the original novella for the source material. We're really honouring Clive's work, and I can say that David Bruckner is a genius. It's filming right now. The footage is terrifying and amazing, and the Cenobites, so we're getting a few of them, which is great to hear, are jaw-dropping. Yay! I like the sound of this. I mean, look, I am pretty against this movie being made now anyway, because I know that Clive Barker sued for the rights back. It's blasphemy. I know a lot of people hate the fact that I don't like this, but if anyone's familiar with Clive Barker across the decades, he has a distinct disdain for Hellraiser, and I was really surprised that he sued to get the rights back, but I think it was more just a financial aspect anyway. So this gives me some sort of hope, until we start seeing something, we'll see. I mean, the thing about David Bruckner is great. The Night House, if you haven't seen it, is a fantastic film. And there are definite shades of Hellraiser in there. It's not out and out, but it's Hellraiser inspired, and so much so that the writers even said that, and so did David Bruckner. It is developed and reimagined from a Hellraiser pitch that they did. They changed elements and, rearranged stuff, but it does have that Hellraiser vibe. And so I do think the writers and David Bruckner are both the men, all three of them, are the men for the job. I think they'll be very, very good at this. But we'll have to see. Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to release next year. Yeah, it is next year, yeah. Which means, in fairness, by spring, we should have a trailer, which would be nice. And you bet your bottom dollar I'm going to absolutely, review the shit out of that trailer. Dissect it, tear it apart, have a look at it. Because I'm very familiar with this stuff. So, there you go. It's good to see that it has been filming extensively, that there is footage available. So much so that the Cenobites are out. That's positive. And if, again, those familiar with the novella, the Cenobites do actually come out pretty quick. I mean, similar to the movie in some regard. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Again, Dread Central say they broke this news. They did. They broke the news about it filming in Serbia. Do you want me to do little updates like that when I have an exclusive? Because I normally sit on them. I now know the end for Venom and stuff like that. There's a lot that I get told, and there's a lot that comes by my desk that I either sit on for a little while until I got more info, or, do you want me to release that information quicker or not? Because I could have been the one to break this news, but I hand it on over to you, because they would be short videos. But it's up to you guys. Let me know. Anyway, cheers. Take care.